Hey, Big Rig back again. Um, Gonna go into movies of 2014 that I didn't see in the theaters, but I did see later in other forms of media. Um, February 7th brought us the Lego movie. I didn't see this in the theater, but I saw it on Vudu as a rental. I ended up buying the Blu-ray after seeing it, the 3D Blu-ray even though I rarely watch the 3D movies I buy, but I always buy them in 3D if it's available, just because I can only think that the 3D TVs are going to get better, and there you go. But honestly, this one was surprising. I thought this one was going to be geared a whole lot more towards kids. It was geared towards kids. I'm not saying it wasn't geared towards kids, but it definitely had humor that adults would get just as easy as the kids. Lego Batman in the movie was hilarious. Morgan Freeman's character was exactly what you'd expect from a Morgan Freeman character in a Lego movie. He was goofy, but you just wanted more of that voice. Let's be honest. It was a very enjoyable, very imaginative movie. It looked very high tech and low tech at the exact same time, which is one of the things I think it really had going for it. If you've got kids, the whole family's going to enjoy this. If you don't have kids and you don't have a stick up your backside, you're going to enjoy this. Really, let's be honest, if you have a soul, you're going to enjoy the Lego movie. February 7th, The Monuments Men. I saw this on Stars many months later. Many months. I want to say it was almost November, December before I saw this. And I had written this one off as a renter or a see it on TBS later. One of the Turner networks obviously was going to show it. I'm glad I did get to see it in HD and an uninterrupted commercial-free version, because I think it's a really good story. A lot of really good actors, obviously. John Goodman, Bill Murray, everybody that was in it. Really well done. Good docudrama, I guess we call these now. It's a drama based on real events. How strict to the real events it was, I can't say. But definitely a watcher for the adults in the house, who are going to appreciate the historical significance of the movie. Or not historical significance of the movie, but historical significance of the events the movie portrays. February 12th brought us the reimagining, whatever, of RoboCop. I was kind of against this movie at first. I ended up renting it on Vudu later, because they took an R-rated movie from the 80s and made it a modern-day PG-13 movie. I didn't think that was going to work, especially when the original was such a socio-political commentary on big business in the 80s and, kind of the 70s and 90s as well, but mostly just cutthroat big business in the 80s. And to be honest, it really fell into the ultra-violent action movies of the 70s and 80s. Now, the new one, not as violent. Obviously, it's RoboCop. The idea is that there is a lot of crime. It is violent, but not as violent, definitely not as gory, because PG-13 rating. Thought Michael Keaton did a great job in this as the big head of Omnicorps. They did tie into military contracts and whatnot that you would see in modern days, touching into like Middle East conflicts and whatnot at the beginning of the movie, mostly as a stage setter for the company that ends up building RoboCop. But it's worth a view if you're a fan of the original. You want to see what they might have done to update it. I'd give it a shot. It was okay. It was, I ended up buying it on Blu-ray, so it was good enough for that. 300 Rise of an Empire. This one I did not see in the theaters. I did a blind buy on the Blu-ray. I say blind buy meaning I bought the Blu-ray without having ever seen the movie before. Something I do when I have a feeling I'm going to kind of like the movie at least. And that was kind of it. I kind of liked the movie. There was nothing incredibly special about it. It could have gone either way. I mean, they were trying to tell the story of the other battle fronts of the big war with Persia, and a little bit of more of the backstory of Xerxes. Obviously, it's a very fictionalized account. I think this one lacked a lot of the stylization of the original 300 film. So it did lose a bit of the artistic quality there. Especially, one thing I always, and it sounds strange, but the blood in the first 300 movie was very stylized, very unrealistic, but it fit. It almost seemed like they had just penciled in the blood in the first one. This one was less bloody, gory in that way. I think there was a sex scene in this one that was a little more graphic than I'd say the nude scenes in the first one were. So if you're going to take kids, remember that. In fact, I'd probably say just don't take the kids, because there's that, and I think they'll get bored. All right. Muppets Most Wanted. Again, another blind Blu-ray buy. I enjoyed it as much as the first one. Muppets, the reboot Muppet movie from a couple of years ago. I think kids are going to enjoy it more than their parents will. You're still, as an adult, going to enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Just some of the celebrity cameos are worth it alone. Tina Fey does a great job. Ricky Gervais, pretty good, I thought kind of the frog who conspicuously looks exactly like Kermit the Frog but is a bad guy was a little goofier for adults, but kids would enjoy it, I think. I don't know, I don't have kids, but I would think they would enjoy that. Definitely watch it with your kids if you've got them. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Just like with the first Amazing Spider-Man, I refuse to see this one in theaters. I refuse to purchase this one. I don't think they should have rebooted it, and I think Andrew Garfield is creepy in the part of Peter Parker. I saw the first Amazing Spider-Man the same way as I saw this one. I saw it on Stars. And to be honest, the first one, I think, had a more coherent plot line. In this new one, I had no concept of why the bad guys were bad guys in the first place. I did not, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, maybe I missed parts of the movie, I'm pretty sure I've seen the whole thing. But I had no concept of why they really were becoming bad guys in the first place, with this slight motivation of Harry Osborn. At the end of the movie, they tried to do a little more world building to spin off the Sinister Six that they're planning. I hope they don't do it, and I hope they go through the deal with Marvel that they were rumored to do based on the hacks of Sony's emails. We'll see. Godzilla from May 16th. Again, another Blu-ray blind buy. I enjoyed this one. What can I say? It was exactly what I wanted from a American-made Godzilla movie. Obviously, it was all CGI, unlike the originals from Japan that were, guy in a suit, or in some cases stop motion. Not as much stop motion as guy in a suit. But the American one, completely CGI. They do tie it in with Japan, and Robert Cranston does a good job in his character, even though he doesn't last nearly as long in the movie as I thought he would. I would say this one is one to, if you enjoy big monster fighting movies like Pacific Rim or the old Godzilla movies, or even Cloverfield, if you're not one of the people who hated it simply because of the shakiness of the camera, you're going to enjoy this one. You're not going to get the social commentary that the original Godzilla had, but this one you don't need it, really. Okay, Maleficent. Disney movie, new take on the villain from Sleeping Beauty. A beautiful looking picture. They picked great actors to be in it. It didn't quite do it for me. I rented this one on Vudu not very long ago, actually a couple days ago, I think. It was enjoyable. It wasn't great. I actually think if you want to, you'd be better off watching the original Sleeping Beauty, the cartoon from way back. You would enjoy. You'll probably enjoy this one. I think. Maybe little girls will enjoy this one more than little boys would. I mean, because basically every male character, with the exception of the underwritten prince at the end, and the crow, are kind of written as bad guys. So, I don't know. Give it a shot if you got kids. Expendables 3. Again, Blu-ray blind buy. This one was one I heard bad reviews about from everybody. I think it's kind of become the thing where, it's hip to give a bad review to the Expendables movies, especially with younger audiences. I say younger meaning like millennials and whatnot, kids that didn't necessarily grow up with the action movies of the 80s and don't really know the actors and characters that they portrayed as well. They tried to do a thing in this one to create a new group of young Expendables to take over the mantle from the old guys, and then they try to make them all work together. And it's a good story. It's not as good as the previous two Expendables. I think for that very reason, where they're trying to youthfulize it. Youthfulize it? They're trying to give it a new youthful cast. I don't think that works as well. But I think it's worth watching if you enjoy the old 80s movies and you enjoyed the first two Expendables movies. All right, finally on the watched later movies, Sin City: A Dame to Kill For. Another one that was a blind buy for me, and another one that I heard bad reviews of. I think this one actually suffers a bit from two things. The advance in technology, honestly. Everything's HD now. Everything looks crisper and clearer. And one of the things that I think the original had for going for it was the older technology and the older cameras and video and whatnot made it a little fuzzier, a little more stylistic. I think this one, because the pictures were so crisp and there was a bit more color, I'd say, in this one, that it suffered from that. Also, it was done in 3D, which I wish studios would stop making movies specifically for 3D unless they do it all the way like Peter Jackson did with the Hobbit films, where he filmed them in 3D and then didn't do a conversion. He planned every bit of it for 3D. I think the 3D for this one wasn't necessary and actually could have detracted from it. I got the 3D, but I didn't watch it in 3D. But it's one of those movies where you could definitely tell where the 3D plot points or the 3D shots were. The plot I thought was okay. I thought it was a little more linear than the first one, so it kind of missed on that storytelling aspect that the first one had. I thought bringing back Bruce Willis's character was a little awkward, in that he was brought back not directly but as a ghost, basically. So I thought that kind of felt forced into the story. Even though it did play into one particular scene near the end of the movie. But I'd say if you enjoyed the first one and you're a fan of comic book movies and the Sin City comics, you'll enjoy this one. Don't expect it to be as good as the first one. I would say it's not as bad as some of the critics have said it was. But, I mean, the first one is a lot to live up to, and times have changed quite a bit. Okay, that's it for the movies I actually saw this year. I'll bring it back here in a little bit with the movies I didn't get a chance to see but wanted to. All right, bye.